Chapter 65:13. Late at night, the plane landed smoothly at Aurus Hill Airport. When Charlie and Maria walked out of the airport, Orville was already waiting there. Seeing Charlie, he immediately stepped forward and said respectfully, "Master Wade, you are back." Charlie nodded and asked him, "Is everything okay at home?" "Everything is fine." Orville smiled and said, "Normal business and Champs Elysees is also all normal. The old man and the old lady are also fine. I often go to visit them. Your father-in-law has been in a much better mood recently. The day before yesterday, he came to the restaurant for dinner with others. Recently, their President Pei has been very polite to him. I also sent people to secretly pay attention to your wife. And there is nothing unusual." "Okay," Charlie said. "Don't tell others that I'm back yet. I'm going to Champs Elysees tonight. If everything goes well, you can take me home tomorrow morning." Orville agreed respectfully and said, "Okay, Master Wade, let's go now." The road was very smooth late at night. Half an hour later, Charlie arrived at his villa on the hillside of Champs Elysees. He asked Orville to go back and rest. And then he and Maria went to the villa together. Charlie couldn't wait to try the ring. So the two went straight to the basement. In order to deal with emergencies, Charlie took out 3 cultivation pills from the safe where he kept his pills as a backup. Just as he was about to close the safe, he hesitated for a moment and took out 5 more pills from the safe, muttering, "It's better to be prepared. Maybe not a single one will be used." After that, he took out the ring and placed it in front of him. He adjusted his breathing slightly and said to Maria, "Miss Lin, I will transfer the spiritual energy into the ring later. You just need to watch from the side." Maria nodded slightly and asked him, "Master, is there anything I can help you with?" Charlie stuffed the 5 cultivation pills into her hand and said, "Whenever you see me struggling or unable to resist, put the pills into my mouth. But don't put them all in at once, one at a time." Maria took the pills and said to Charlie, "Master, don't worry, I know." Charlie focused his attention on the ring. Then, he tried to mobilize the spiritual energy accumulated in his body by handprints and transfer it into the ring first. But this spiritual energy just didn't listen to his command. Whenever he subconsciously wanted to call up the spiritual energy, it was always his own part that was mobilized. Helplessly, he could only try with his own spiritual energy first. He didn't know if there was anything special about the spiritual energy accumulated by the handprint. Perhaps it was the same as the logic of the spare fuel tank of a car. Only when the fuel in the main tank was used up would the fuel in the spare tank be used. To verify this guess, he had to use up his own spiritual energy first. Fortunately, he had prepared a few cultivation pills, which should be enough to replenish the spiritual energy in his body from nothing to full several times. So he made up his mind and planned to transfer all the spiritual energy in his body into the ring first. However, at the moment when the surging spiritual energy in his body was mobilized, something strange happened suddenly. The part of the spiritual energy that was not controlled by him seemed to have suddenly awakened from a deep sleep. In an instant, it carried the original spiritual energy in his body and swarmed out like a flood. He didn't expect that the uncontrolled spiritual energy would suddenly move. He was surprised and happy. He thought it was a good opportunity to mobilize these spiritual energies. He planned to rely on guiding his part of the spiritual energy to force the other part of the energy into the ring. But what he didn't expect was that the aura originally generated by the handprint was out of control. And his own aura was at will. But now, his aura was out of control. The ring was pinched lightly at Charlie's fingertips at this moment. His original intention was to let the aura come out of the dantian and enter the ring through his fingers. But the two auras mixed together. After emerging from the dantian, they didn't go to the arm at all, but rushed straight into Charlie's brain and into his sea of consciousness. He was shocked by this sudden change. He knew his body best. Such a huge amount of aura instantly poured into the brain. and the sea of consciousness couldn't bear it at all. If it was allowed to rush in all at once, either the sea of consciousness would be directly washed away, or the whole brain would be shocked into a ball of paste. He was so nervous that he tried his best to control the aura. The veins on his arms, neck, and cheeks were even bulging. But the aura was still out of control. At this time, seeing Charlie's ferocious expression and sweating profusely, Maria subconsciously thought that Charlie could no longer resist, and quickly stuffed a cultivation pill into his mouth according to his instructions. Charlie's full efforts to guide the spiritual energy were in vain. When his consciousness was at a loss, a strong and pure spiritual energy suddenly surged out of his dantian. He was very familiar with this kind of spiritual energy, which was the power of the cultivation pill.